Welcome, 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 everyone. My name is Helen Higginbotham, and I welcome you to another Sunday of When Black Women Gather. Today, we have my friend, my cousin, a life coach, Rana Walker, and she's going to talk to us. The title of our discussion today is Seeing Ourselves Clearly, which is very important in this time. There's so much happening right now, and how are we seeing ourselves? How are we defining ourselves? Are we thinking about our survival and what does that look like for each of us? So today, Rana will walk us through a presentation and we'll engage her. Um, if you have questions, you can, Rana, do you want them to hold to the end or do you want an interactive conversation where people can come in as we're
I
talking?
absolutely want interactive conversation throughout.
Okay. So yeah, so just raise your hand electronically, or if you're on the phone, I always forget the people on the phone. Just let me know that you want to speak, and I'll bring you on camera, or at least let you ask your question. And of course, you can always drop it in the chats, whatever you're comfortable with. But this is a conversation for all of us, okay? So let me tell you a little bit about Rana. Full disclosure, Rana and I are cousins. So, and I'm glad that she agreed to come talk with us today. Rana is, I didn't, also full disclosure, Howard graduate. And for those of you who are Delta, she is your Delta sister. So she's all of that and more. So Rana Walker is an Emmy Award winning life coach and mental health therapist, author, yoga, and mindfulness teacher. She is the founder and CEO of Potluck Yoga, head of mindfulness of the Behavioral Wellness Center at Gerard. At Gerard Lab. She's a faculty and executive producer of Special Eyes Production. She has lectured and facilitated workshops domestically and abroad. She's traveled to 5 of the 7 continents, which I want to know which of the two you have. I know one is Antarctica, right? What's the other
Yeah.
one?
Australia.
Australia?
Yep, yep.
Ah, I've been to all of them except I have not gone to the Antarctica. And somehow I don't think I will, but who knows? Um, and like me, Rana has lived in Ghana, so she can talk to us a little bit about that, which laid the groundwork for the work that she's doing now. Rana has credits in television, health segments, locally, nationally, and internationally, including a health coach for Discovery Health Channel, six program miniseries entitled Health Cops Sentenced to Health. That's interesting. And she starred as one of the life coaches on season 1 of NBC's groundbreaking Emmy Award winning Starting Over. I remember that so well because I was in law school at that time, and Rana was one of the original coaches. That was probably one of the original reality TV type shows, wouldn't you say?
Yep.
Yeah, so if anybody remembers that, let us know in the chat. It was called Starting Over, and Rana was one of the original 2 coaches. The women lived in a house and they dealt with all kinds of mental health issues. Oh, I see somebody says they loved it and they took notes. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, as I said earlier, Rana went to Howard University and got her BS in psychology and her master's in psychology in counseling psychology from Temple. She has 20 years of experience creating wellness experiences for others. And today, like I said, she's going to talk to us about. Look at that. Oh, something about no kidding, no kidding, Darlene. Darlene says she watched every segment. I bet you did. You're muted, Rana.
Yeah, because I like to laugh, so I was trying not to laugh while you were talking. But yes.
Oh, you can laugh. This is we're just informal and
Okay.
have fun here. So yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, so Ron, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'll be here. So like I said, anybody, this is an interactive conversation. Although it's just Ron and I on screen. Anybody who wants to jump in and have a question or just something that you want to share, and certainly an experience that you may have had or having that can help or empower someone else. So this is the time and place for us to share it. So thank you, Rana. I'm turning it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Helen. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here today with all of you. Um, excuse me, mindfulness is all that matters. So, in terms of mindfulness, it's being present. It's being present in our lives. And so, The other piece of being present is being present without judgment. So I can't really see you, so this is gonna be interesting. So I'm in my mind, I'm talking to Helen this whole time, right? So usually I see a show of hands, people are, doing other things. I can see their facial expressions, but Helen, I'm gonna just look at you. So when we talk about being mindful, how many of us are able to be present without judgment most of the time? So no hands, including mine. So no hands, right?
Let me do something here. Anybody who wants to turn on their camera and come on screen and be in conversation with us, please turn on your camera and I'll bring you in. Darlene, I know I can count on you. Can I? Can I? Kilthea, can I bring you on screen? Okay. Anybody who wants to come on camera, please turn on and then we can
Okay.
have an
All
engaging
right. Let me see
conversation.
another face.
There we go.
Oh,
I
thank
see
you. Oh, look,
Charlotte.
real
All
live
right.
human beings. I love it.
All right. Go ahead. You keep talking, Ron. I'll keep
Okay.
adding people.
So just thinking about being present in your life, that means thinking about what you're doing at this precise moment, right? So first of all, I want to ask you, can you think of a time when you were fully present, when you were being mindful? So that means being in the present moment, not thinking about the past, that's going, the future doesn't exist, where you are actually being very present. Can you
I,
think of a time? Joya, yes.
yeah, I can think of a time. Like usually when I take walks in the park, I live close to, I'm in New York. I live close to botanical gardens, and usually when I'm walking through the park, there's periods where I'm just totally in the moment.
And how do you feel when you're totally in the moment?
Oh my God, it is super serene. It's a wonderful, beautiful experience. But when you were saying being present without judgment, that I find very difficult. I was actually praying on it today, before mass, because I'm like, God, please let me not be critical, let me not be judge. But it's hard, because those voices pop up in our head, and it's like we have to stay. Well, for me, I know I have to stay on top of it, because when I'm not judging and when I'm not criticizing and when I'm not complaining, I feel so close to my Lord, So, and it's just a very peaceful, very serene space.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
Rana, I took pottery. I'm not taking it right now, but I
Mhm.
took pottery on the wheel and just trying to center the clay. You have to be all there or else it's going to go out. And so that was a very mindful exercise. And for a while, I was so addicted to going to class. I only stopped because of arthritis in my thumb and whatnot. But I actually, like people have runner's high or something.
Mhm.
I got addicted to pottery because it was a time where I could not think about anything else when that wheel was spinning.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. So Joya and Charlotte are talking about being mindful. Um, I want to just share as a yoga teacher, when I am not so much teaching, but when I am taking a yoga class, I feel like I am fully present. I am being mindful because I have to focus on the pose. I have to focus on my breath work. I have to focus on just maintaining balance. Whatever it is that's going on in that moment, that's one of the times I can think of in my life where I feel like I'm really present. Anybody else want to share before we move on?
For me,
How do you say it, Kalitha?
Kelthia.
Kelthia. Okay, yes, Kelthia.
Um, for me, I'm most present when I'm dancing. Um, and a lot of times for me, in other parts of my life, it's not so much the judgment piece, but it's the just trying to hold my mind at center where it's at, just to kind of stay focused on
Mm.
what's happening. That's difficult, but I find it's easier if there's music and I'm dancing.
Mhm.
Nice. Very nice. So,
I can piggyback on that.
oh, I can't
Um,
wait a minute. Let me
or is it
go
too
ahead.
late?
No, no.
Trying to add Darlene to the spotlight, and it looks like there might be a limited number. So what I'm going to do,
I see her.
go ahead. I'm going to try and work this out. Darlene, I'm going to remove myself and add you in so that
You
you
can
can
take
speak.
take
Fine.
me out.
Take you
I'm
out.
I
fine.
can see her.
I think so.
You want to see her?
No,
Okay.
No,
I
see
can
me.
see her.
Oh, you guys can see Darlene?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can
Because
see her.
when I
Yes.
try to add her to spotlight, it says I have too many. But anyway, go ahead, Darlene. They can see you.
No, real quick, I just wanted to say that I teach 4 dance classes a week. And prior to going to the class, sometimes I'm breathing like, do I really want to do this today? And the minute that I get there and I start teaching, I'm very present for every single step that I teach. Every step, my mind goes straight to, being present, being with them, and being very focused. So that's one of the times. And I have guests today, and I just want to share with you, one of my guests said that she's very present when she's coloring. We're having a coloring session.
Oh, nice.
She said
Very
she's very
nice.
present when she's coloring.
I love it.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
So, when's the last time you laughed at yourself? I'm thinking it was recent. I'm trying to think. When was the last time I laughed at myself?
Remember, if you're not on screen, you can say your answers out loud.
Mhm.
We'll hear you, or you can raise your hand and we'll hear you. However you want to do it. Diane, I see your screen is on. Did you want to add something? No. Okay.
No, thank
So
you.
who
Not
laughed?
yet.
Who's laughed at themselves? I haven't laughed at myself lately, but um I laugh at these TikTok things and stuff. So, some of them are so ridiculous. So I do get laughter at that sometimes.
So I'm asking about laughing at
Um,
yourself because sometimes we find it difficult to laugh at ourselves instead of criticizing and judging ourselves. So I'm thinking about laughing at yourself. And I think, I don't want to
I
say,
have I have an example.
Mhm.
In the car and trying to find my phone while I'm on the phone. I'm like,
Who is that? So I can, oh, that's Diane.
It's a classic.
what?
Who else has
Where's
done
my
that?
phone? I'm on it.
Mhm, mhm. Looking for your glasses, they're on your face, things like
On your
Yeah.
head.
yeah. Tell the person, or if you're on the phone, oh my God, I can't find my phone. And they're like, oh my God. And you have the phone right there and you're talking on it. Yeah. That's interesting. Mhm. So what does that tell us? If we're that all over the place, are we seeing ourselves clearly? Are we present or are we distracted?
Probably distracted, or maybe you're just doing too many things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am not focused, but I also think at some point age comes into that, because I have friends and we're like all going through the same thing at the same time, right? I went into the kitchen and I didn't know why, and I came out, or I found the ice cream in the refrigerator. If you don't laugh, you'll start to say, "Oh my God, what's happening?"
Right.
So, but
But
I guess to your point, we are distracted.
right, but also a lot of times too, we give credit that is our age when not necessarily. I've seen my
That's true.
niece do it, much younger than me, and not the
Mm-hmm.
fact that we're not getting older and forgetful, but a lot of times things just happen. And so
Yes,
I'm not gonna give it to being because I'm old that it happened.
that's a good attitude.
Yeah.
I like what both of you said because I was thinking sometimes I'm talking to my mom and I call her and I'm like, oh, I forgot what I wanted to talk about. She said, hang the phone up. You'll remember. So I hang the phone up. I call her back because I remember. So some of it could be, could deal with aging. A lot of it is we are overwhelmed. We are overstimulated. There's too much going on all the time. Remember in the old days, we had 3, 6, 10, 12, maybe 29, 48. Yeah, we didn't have all these channels. We didn't have all these options. We couldn't binge watch things. We couldn't be on this 24/7. I mean, yeah. So,
People
Right,
only have
no phone
one
numbers
one
by
phone
heart.
number.
Right.
Right, and
People only
plus,
have one phone number instead of 3. You can remember the
right,
phone numbers.
and you knew all the phone numbers by heart,
exactly.
right? After I got a cell phone, I something happened, and I realized I didn't know anybody's phone number if it was an emergency and I need to call someone. So I made myself memorize my sister's number.
Okay. So do you go by DE or D?
Diane.
Diane. So Diane just made a really good point. And I've been having conversations with friends about safety, security, being able to reach people in emergency situations. And that is extremely important in terms of us, at least if you only know one phone number, at least know 3 numbers. Like it's really important because if they take us off the grid, if your phone loses juice, you don't have a number remembered, then you can go maybe to a neighbor and use their phone. Like it's really important that we think about that. Or for those of you who still have landlines, kudos to you. So it's just things to think about that are really important right now. Writing things down because we tend to type everything. Everything is electronic. To write things down so you have hard copies of things that are really important. So thanks for sharing that. So now I'm going to ask you, how do you identify in the world? How do you see yourself, or how do others see you? When you go out in the world, people know you as what?
A Black woman.
Mm-hmm. What else?
What else? I don't know. Maybe some of the organizations I belong to.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then church,
Right.
And then family as a sister or aunt.
Mm-hmm. So you are seen by your titles, your labels, right? Like Helen just read my bio, faculty member, yoga teacher, life coach, da da da. So those are all the things that I do. Is that who I am?
No.
No, it's not. So when we talk about seeing ourselves clearly, just think about that. Who are you really? Like, who are you? The essence of you. All the titles and labels are stripped away. Who are you? And I think for all of us at different stages of our lives, there's a reinvention or getting to know yourself again, right? And I'll give you an example. When I was going through breast cancer, that was a big turning point in my life. That was where I understood that I'm not my skin. I know it sounds so cliche, but I learned I am not my skin. I am the spirit that lives within, right? Because there was a grieving process. I had to let go of a breast. I had to move muscle from one place to another. I had to go through all the surgeries. I went through chemo. I lost my hair. I lost my nails. All of these things. And that was the way I defined myself, just externally. So I had to get to know myself in a different way and to understand the importance of who I am that never changes. So when I ask you those questions at different points in your life, you're a different person. So I'm just curious, when did you have to get to know yourself? Was there a life-changing event that happened that caused you to say, hey, I need to reintroduce myself to myself?
I'm kind of in that process right now. I had knee replacement surgery the very last of October, and it's been a journey, but I have decided that it should also be a pivot point for me. That this is I've been retired for I guess almost 13 years now, but I'm like, you know, you're moving toward your final act, and what do you want to be while you still have life and health, and what is the pivot going to be?
I love it. You summed it up really well. So how's it coming?
It's coming. It's been overwhelming because I didn't realize how slowly the process would go. It's been not quite 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
But the pivoting, it's been difficult in some ways because I've stepped back. There are things that I was doing before that I've decided I'm stepping away from that. I'm stepping away from, people and people that I was pouring into that I feel like either didn't appreciate what I was doing or wasn't listening to what I was saying, or, the kind of support that I was trying to give wasn't really working. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, you know what? You don't have to keep doing that just because you were doing it. You can step
Yes.
away. So it's not easy, and that's a process too. Because it's hard. Like if you tell somebody I ain't doing that no more, and they're telling you just hold on, it's gonna be okay. I'm thinking it's gonna be fine, but I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that no more. So that it's been interesting, and I'm still very much in the midst of it.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So prioritizing yourself, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And what is that going to look like going forward? And, I mean, it's not that I didn't enjoy the things I was doing, because I did, but it's time for something new.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else want to share?
I'd like to share. My name is Tanya Murphy.
Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Rana. How are you? Hello,
Good.
ladies.
Hi.
I wanted to come on and share because I feel like this question has come up several times, over the period of a few years. And it was hard really for me to answer. And I can't necessarily turn to one particular event. I'll say just trials, challenges, life itself, and just wanting to lean in. It just so happens I've been on an assignment to temporarily teach a women's Bible class at our church because our first lady is out. And last week I gave an assignment to this week be able to answer who we are. Who are you? And because of the setting, I included who are you in Christ, so that it was appropriate for the setting. And I was prompted by the Holy Spirit, I want to say maybe a year ago, to get up at like 5:30 in the morning and spend good quality time with the Lord in meditation, in prayer, studying. And I am not a morning person. So when I first got that prompting, I'm like, maybe you mean my cousin who's a morning person. You cannot possibly mean me. You cannot, this cannot be my assignment. And in full transparency, every morning I have not gotten up at 5:30, but God is faithful. And when I do get up, it feels amazing. Sometimes I get in there at like 6:30 and ask for forgiveness. Anyway, here's the bottom line. The bottom line is, in that moment, one morning on my knees, in the presence of the Lord, who am I? I am a presence of hope, instrumental in encouraging an intimate relationship with Jesus Christ. I'm a presence. I am a mother, yes. I am a marketing executive, yes. But that's what I do. That's what I've been blessed with. That's not who I am. And so it's been a journey, and I felt compelled to ask Darlene if I could take over her seat and share.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you for sharing, Tanya. That really resonated. Yes. Thank you for sharing.
Anybody else?
I
I
see
would like to
Sherry
share.
has her hand up. Go ahead, Sherry, jump right in.
I am close to turning 50. This July, I will be 50. And I think for the last 10 years, I have been asking myself, it's been a pivot constantly. Who are you? I'm a speech therapist. This is my 22nd year, and I'm always changing and evolving. So I was in healthcare for 17 years. Now I'm in the schools. And early on in my 40s, I called back to my university. Shout out to HBCUs, Wilberforce University, the first historically Black college in the country, and called my professors, and I was like, this ain't it. I mean, I went to school for all of this, but this is not what this ain't my calling. This is not what I was supposed to do. Am I okay? And so, one of my professors affirmed, like, yes, I'm glad you're thinking like this. But so I had some in adenomyosis, which is a form of endometriosis, where it was like my lining was growing back into my uterus. And so it was very, very painful. And I really didn't understand. I was dealing with chronic pain. And so after I had to have a hysterectomy, and I never had any children. And so that was a pivotal moment for me, just coming to grips with I will never be a biological mother. And I know everybody can say you can adopt and I understand, but not going through that process. That was a pivotal moment for me to question, who am I? Because it was something that I would never physically be. And finally, in these past couple of months, forgive me if I cry, sisters,
That's okay.
I lost one of my best friends from college, and we crossed our non-Greek organization together. We crossed Zeta together. She was a family member, because when I told my parents and my sister, it was devastating. And we never thought, how do we navigate life without our support system, our circle? So now I'm trying to redefine me, or who I am, or that pivotal moment is one of the tribe isn't here physically anymore. And so I'm navigating through that. I don't know if I have an answer yet. I'm trusting the process and letting grief do whatever needs to be done in order for me to move forward. But I believe in my 40s, I had the most pivotal moments. It just seems like every 2 or 3 years, it was something. I'm like, wow, are the bowling balls gonna stop knocking over my little pins?
I'm glad you said that. So with that in mind, just thinking about life and, instead of is shift happens. So this is one of my dad's insights. So instead of that is SHIFT, shift happens, right? So we have to shift, we have to pivot, or we can stand there and get hit in the head with the bowling ball, right? So I want us to just take a moment. We're gonna do I'm gonna do
Got one more hand, Rana. You
okay.
have
After
Miss Ware.
Joanne, yeah, we're gonna go into a guided meditation.
My name is Joanne Ware. I've been through a lot of pivotal moments. It's too many to count. In 1984, I had a hysterectomy, but I had adopted a son. I knew I couldn't have any children, but he's 42 today. My other pivotal moment where I had to make that shift, because I knew I couldn't have any children, so I had to accept that. In 2003, I had cancer of the breast, the left breast. I had lumpectomy. I dealt with that with the help of my friends. The cancer came back in 2007, so I had to get a mastectomy. And I had to carry, you lose your hair, my hair and everything, but the battle I had to have with myself to know that part of me is gone. And the envy I have when I looked at some others, it's been in my mind to see somebody have both breasts, knowing I only have one. And my granddaughter brought it to me one day when she ran in after I took a shower. Oh, Nana, you only got one. I took it as a joke because she didn't realize it and everything. And then the loss of my husband and my mother, that pivoted because I was running with them, doing things and everything, and doing at a certain time. But I had to realize that I'm a nurse, and I've been a nurse since 1971. I use my abilities, my knowledge to help them through whatever they were going through, just to be there. But the problem is that once that stopped, what do I want to do with myself? So I belong to a women's Bible study that we meet every Thursday at 6:30. And that helped me get through some of the battles I have. So where I'm in a senior building, So I do things for the senior building. I'll copy, I'll type letters, I do everything I can do to compensate for not being a nurse.
Mhm.
And I miss that because I wanted to be a nurse since I was 5. And I wanted to learn nursing, so I went to a nursing school. But it's a hard road sometimes. And once that door shut, I have to live with myself. Every decision I make, anything I do, I have to be satisfied with that decision. I can live with it. I might be criticized or knocked down what I've been through, but I realize that I need to make myself whole and continue with prayer, continue with friends who keep me in the way I have to. And I like some of the scenes we have because we laugh at what we do. You know, I was calling bingo and I kept on doing the wrong numbers. She said, Joanne, can't you see? I said, no. And then I had one call and one number. And I didn't even call the number. I said, from the peanut gallery, you please be quiet. She kept on messing up the game. But I did that because of my need to have people around me and know that it makes a difference in my life. You need that sociality with others. I
Absolutely.
mean,
Thank
even with
you.
Zoom or anything, I'm glad to have Zoom because you feel like you're isolated. And I thank you for allowing me to speak.
You know what, Joanne? That's very key. One of the things I didn't hear you say was caring for yourself. I heard you saying a lot about caring for others, and that's a big reason why we're here, right? To be of service to others, but we're also here to care for ourselves. And so at the end of the day, you're right, Joanne, all we have is ourselves, right? People come and go. We have social groups, organizations, family members. Life happens. Shift happens.
May I say
So,
something? I didn't mean to cut you off.
uh-huh.
But it was a time when my husband left. And it was a picture I saw of myself. I didn't like that picture. I didn't like the way I looked.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I did? I
What?
went and got my hair done every 2 weeks. I went shopping to look much better. And I went back to college to
Nice.
finish my degree and what
Mm-hmm.
have you. But I guess what you're saying is true because now I did all that. Now I'm at a plateau where it's all about me. I did all that work, cooking, cleaning, maintaining, and everything, and going to school, working all those hours I did. But now it's about me. So I'm kind of laid back right now. You know, just let life go as it is, and thank the Lord that I can get out of bed and walk. And I had a total hip done in August of 19. My neighbors here came every day to see about me, make sure I had food, take me to the doctors. And I said, y'all should be in the community room. She said, no, your apartments are a community room. And they still come and sit and help me out. But I guess it's my complacency and my calmness that I just try to maintain the way I do the things I do. Because I have to live with yourself.
So, Joanne, I want us to go
Yes.
into a guided meditation. So, at those times when there aren't other people around, that we have our own skills, our own techniques that we can use to not feel alone, not to feel isolated, because we're born alone and we're going to die alone. So it's really about us getting to know ourselves. And I just want to add that earlier today, I did something I very rarely do. I laid on the couch and looked out the window and looked at the birds and the trees. I didn't have the radio on. I didn't have Spotify on. I didn't have Audible listening to a book. I wasn't looking at Netflix, like all the distractions. And what I realized is a lot of those distractions for me is because I live by myself. But it was really, really interesting just to be really present and not to have distractions. Because it does make you, Joanne, sometimes think about the fact that you may be feeling as though you're alone. So let's just take a moment, please, to plant our feet and place your hands down on your thighs if you need more grounding, up if you feel like you need more energy. And then close your eyes or cast your gaze downward. So you do what feels comfortable to you. And then just begin to feel the weight of your body on the chair. Begin to tune into the natural flow of your breath. And feel the floor beneath you. And just be present. Now I want you to think about what we shared earlier about titles and labels, any fears or doubts that we have. And I want you to imagine a giant hot air balloon. And look at the large wicker basket. And it's held down by the rope and the stake in the ground. And look at all the vibrant colors of the balloon, reds and yellows, blues, oranges. And now I want you to think about if you strip away those titles and labels, mother, sister, grandmother, friend, aunt, doctor, nurse, teacher, lawyer, whatever it is that you have been defined by throughout your life, I want you to take a moment to just start placing them into the basket, one at a time. In your mind's eye, see the basket begin to fill up. You know, any fears or doubts or worries that no longer serve you, place them into the basket. Those that you want to let go of, that you may have been clinging to consciously and unconsciously, place them into the basket. Not good enough, not worthy, uncertainty, fear about the future, the changes happening in your body and your mind. Place them into the basket. And as you place them into the basket, check in with your body, see if you start to feel a little lighter. See if your shoulders have softened. Maybe your jaw is relaxed. And now, as we get ready to step away from the basket, if there's one final thought, feeling, title, or label that you want to place into the basket, do it now. And now let's walk over and untie the hot air balloon. And now turn your gaze upward as you see the hot air balloon ascend. As it goes up, 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 until you just see a small speck in the sky. And then it turns into the nothingness and it's gone. Knowing all of those things have been carried away, have disappeared into the ether. And when you're ready, take a moment and then wiggle your fingers and toes and open your eyes. How was it?
I loved it.
That was great.
How did you feel, Joya and Diane, before? And then how did you feel after? So let's start with Joya.
Okay, I think the first share that I talked about, where I was totally present at botanical gardens and in that place, like walking amongst the trees and the grass and everything, and just how I felt. That's how I felt. That's how I felt. You know, this Zoom meeting was a little distracting for me, like with the cameras and the, faces bouncing around and stuff like that. But when I did the meditation, it just like released a lot of that stuff. And, I feel like I'm in that zone, in that surrounded by nature, like the, Psalm 1, the tree planted by the bank of the river, with the roots running deep. And it was nice. It was nice. And I'm surprised that one of the images I ended up putting into the balloon was, because I'm a nurse and, I've done fitness training, I've, and nursing and all that kind of stuff, and taking care of other people. And sometimes the hardest thing for caregivers to do is learn how to really take care of themselves. But it was weird because one of the things I ended up putting in there was daughter. I didn't realize I have a very
Wow.
powerful mother. And one of the things I ended up putting in that basket was daughter, and just felt really, it felt good. It felt good. I liked it.
Love it. I love it. Thanks for
I was
sharing.
surprised. I was like, "Oh, this title, this daughter," I was like, "Where did this come from?" But I was like, went into the basket and up it went, and it was nice. Thank
Very
you.
nice. So when you get a moment, all of you, um, if you choose, write down what came up for you. Because Joy, you were surprised that that came up, right?
Yes, I was
And
like,
each
"Where did that come
time
from?"
you could do the same meditation over and over again, and it may be different each time. So thank
Yeah,
you
I
for
mean,
that.
the obvious things, the nurse, the caregiver, the caring, the love, the self-set, like, and the fears and all that came up. But that one, that title that came, that it was new for me, and it was on a different level. I guess I'm moving to a different, things are shifting.
Yep. Excellent. I love it. I love it. Okay, Diane, did you still want to share?
Me
Mm-hmm.
or another Diane?
No, you.
So, I'm a veteran, so there are a lot of women programs, and they do this like meditation or whatever. And it's a struggle for me, but I found it to be relaxing and
Okay.
to kind of try to let go. And it made you think about like so different, organizations, you believe you're there serving a purpose, but at the same time, you find things limiting. So I put some of those things in the basket, and then it's like, how do you let go? Because at the same time, well, you want to travel, but I'm gonna have that meeting coming up, I can't. So the moment made me think. It makes you think, what are you doing? What's important? And what's going to be your priorities? Is it going to, a lot of
Absolutely.
times you don't take yourself as a priority. It's always those other things.
I love that, Diane. And it's interesting. I'm glad you said what you said about being a vet, because some of the practices, and this is what I always say when I do mindfulness sessions, is take what works for you, and that whatever doesn't resonate, leave it behind. And I know in terms of being a vet, probably some PTSD, post-traumatic stress,
Right.
that you don't want to trigger things. So when you're having these experiences, if you feel yourself beginning to become anxious, then you stop, right?
Right.
But in this situation, it worked for you. So as I share a couple more tools before we wrap, these are things that you can try and you can see what works. And if it works, write it down and try it again later. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else before we move on?
I found it more relaxing. It reminded me when I used to do praise moves. We read the
Nice.
scripture and we did a position and stuff like that. But I think I was tense before the meeting. But after that, can I bottle your voice so I can go through this?
Right?
I felt so relaxed and so relieved. And the thing I put in the basket was nurse because I'm always, no matter if I'm not practicing, you always on point. You always looking. You always using your skills as you meet people and do things. So I like to put that in the basket and finally say, okay, Joanne, you don't have to be observing and watching people all the time. And
Right.
that's something I need to do but your voice is, can I still bottle it? Can you send me a tape or something? I'm
Tape will be
serious.
online. You can
Okay,
get
okay.
this on the.
I'm working on the podcast. So on the podcast, you'll be able to hear it. That's not out yet, but yes.
Okay,
Joanne,
but
let me get
I
that
enjoyed the
started.
relaxing. I really
Good.
felt I was I wasn't in the chair. I was so comfortable, so relaxed. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. So the other day, this came across my email and I want to share it with you. I thought it was really good. It says, you can only meet others as deeply as you've met yourself,
Okay.
right? So I'm going to read a little bit. So it says, we often expect others to give us what we haven't given to ourselves. We want patience from others, but we criticize ourselves for not having it all figured out. I can attest to that. We want depth from others, but we avoid our own uncomfortable truths. We want someone to love us unconditionally, but we attach conditions to our own self-worth every day. It's not that we're incapable of deep love, it's that we outsource it. We give it up searching for people. So we're looking for people to give us what it is that we already possess inside. And we think someone can make us happy with, at this stage of the game, we all know that's not true. No one's gonna make you happy. They can make you a cup of coffee, right? They can make a reservation for you at a restaurant. They can't make you happy. That's an inside job, right?
Right.
So we go searching for people to give us things we've never practiced giving to ourselves. I'm going to read that again. We go searching for people to give us things we've never practiced giving to ourselves. And when they can't, we feel like something's missing. But relationships are mirrors, and we know this. So the good that we see in others, that's in us. The not so pretty, that's in us too. They will always reflect back to us the places we have yet to meet within ourselves. So if you find yourself feeling unseen, unheard, misunderstood, ask yourself, where am I still hiding? I thought that was a good one. In fact, I'm going to write about that. What parts of me have I not yet met? What am I asking from others that I have not given to myself? And finally, because the depth you seek is already inside you, and the more you meet yourself there, the more you'll find it in others. Did that resonate with anyone?
The part where you said, I'm sorry, the part where you said, what parts of myself have I not yet met? That part resonated really strong,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Miss
Underling, you
Brenda,
had your hand up?
can you repeat that quote again? We go searching for people.
Wait a minute, let me see. And then I can send it to Helen too. It says, give me 1 second, because I have screenshots of it.
What parts of myself have
I think it's this part.
I
What's the part?
Can you share it in the chats? No.
No, it's on my phone. No, I'll have to do it later.
Oh, okay, I understand totally.
Okay, let me see. Are you talking about when we outsource what we're looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not that we're incapable of deep love, it's that we outsource it. We go searching for people to give us things we've never practiced giving to ourselves. And when they can't, we feel like something's missing. And then it goes into, what am I hiding? What have I, yet to discover about myself? So I'll make sure I send it to Helen. But what I want to do is, as we close, I just want to give you a few more things to.
Yeah, Darlene. Darlene, did you have a question?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
There are a few more things I just want I want to tell you that may be helpful, okay? So there's the inhaling. So this, if you're writing, write it down then. So inhaling and exhaling from 1 to 10. Inhale for 1, exhale for 2. So you're inhaling on the odd, exhaling on the even, all the way up to 10, right? Inhale for 1, exhale for 2, all the way up to 10, and then count backward and do the same thing. So that's just, if you're having a meeting, if you're feeling anxious, or you just want to breathe more deeply. So in mentioning that, there's a book called Breath. And I just started listening to it. So my mom was listening to it first. We share an Audible library. And I was listening to it, and it's by James Nestor, Nestor. And it talks about the importance of breathing and how if you're a mouth breather, you actually change the structure of your mouth. And mouth breathing leads to other dis-ease or diseases in the body. So when you breathe deeply, which we don't, we usually breathe from here. We should breathe from our diaphragm, of course. Singers know that better. That they have had cases of reversing emphysema and scoliosis, if you can imagine.
Wow.
So check this book out. Even if you just listen to a sample on Audible, it's Breath by James Nestor, Nestor. I think you'll find it really interesting. And Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. That's another important one in terms of the quality of sleep. And just in terms of okay, yep, Helen. Okay, yeah, definitely look at the book. Because these are things that sometimes doctors say, oh, it's irreversible. It is what it is. No, not necessarily. So, and then Why We Sleep, I'll just say this for all of us on this call, for women of African descent, that we are always doing the work. We are always showing up. We're always doing what we're supposed to. But we have to make sure that we're getting the rest that we need to care for ourselves. So if you don't do any other form of self-care, please let it be your quality of sleep. That's when the body is repairing itself. That's when the liver is detoxing. When you don't get enough sleep, the amyloid plaque builds up on your brain, leading to fogginess, Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that. So please prioritize your sleep, if nothing else, okay? And then I'll give you one more thing, and I'm just going to close out. The final piece is to remember that you are the most important person in your life. You are. I know it's hard for us. We haven't been taught that, but you are the most important person in your life. And as you care for yourself, as you unburden yourself, as you lighten the load, as you delegate, as you remove people, situations that are no longer serving you, the better able you are to be present in your own life and to know how much you matter. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Miss Rana.
My pleasure.
Yeah. I want to, what am I trying to do? Remove all spotlights. Yeah, so thank you. That was a good use of our time. And I think as, we started out from the beginning talking about, where are we at this time in our lives? There's so much happening around us. Every day we wake up, there's something new that, and it's as much as we would like to ignore the political scene that's happening, it's kind of impossible. So I think it's real important for us during this time to do some of what Rana has shared with us here and to keep ourselves grounded on us, because it's so easy to allow other people to become our focal point, and problems that we can't solve anyway. They're so much bigger than us, and we can't let it define who we are. So back to our original question, who are you? What defines you? Um, what brings you joy? Focus on those things. If you want me to bottle up Rana's voice and send it to you, I'll be happy to confiscate. I'll be happy to do that. But remember too, on Wednesday mornings, we join here at 6 a.m. and do a mindfulness activity. And Rana has led one of those for us. Maybe we can get her again. Darlene has said she's going to come and do one. But I put the information in the chat, so feel free. It's a very quiet few moments, and sometimes it's breathing, sometimes it's chair yoga. It's just, something that gets us through the middle of the week.
Yeah.
So before we let Rana go, are there any pressing questions that anyone has for her that you want to ask, or just some feedback anything that you want to share? Anybody?
Miss Phyllis Dodd.
Hi, Miss McCann. How are you?
I'm concerned about you and your sleeping. I get emails, text messages, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Please take heed. And may I also share, I didn't participate during the session, but there have been so many pivotal moments in my 8 decades that the advice or suggestions that I can give is I look at life at each decade. Those in your 50s, for example, I forget who said they were in their 50s, Sherry or someone, but it's getting up early in the morning or taking that time to focus on your visualization and your goals. And even at 82, I still believe that the very best years are ahead. I'm planning for trips this spring and summer. My goal now is to go to the gym 2-3 times a week because of my right knee. Higgi, you know about that. And I am determined. You have to be determined. You have to give yourself time for you. The lady who had the knee replacement, see if you can move with that. Visualize yourself walking. Get into water exercise if you can. That is a blessing in disguise. So I'm just sort of piggybacking off of some of the comments that I've heard. But self-care is number one, whether you're 30, 40, 50, or 80. Self-care is number one. And Higgi, I'm coming back to you. You need your rest and sleep. Okay, I hear you. I watch you. I maybe sleep when I wake up to see that popping in at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then she's rolling over at 6 for Wednesday. So as a result, we as Black women, we do have to take care of ourselves first and foremost. And for those of you who have acquaintances, I say acquaintances, I have very few friends. A true friend is a friend, but they are sometimes what I refer to as vampires. They're energy vampires. Your energy is very important. And so you learn to let that roll off of you, regardless, be it family, friend, or foe. Take care of yourself. You can hear it, but you don't always have to take it into your inner being. So know thyself, love thyself is most important. And I believe we still have the best to come for 2025.
Coming from your 8 decades of wisdom, that is much, much appreciated. Miss Garrett, did you have a question? You're muted.
I think Miss Phyllis kind of covered it, but I just wanted to follow up with that. life is about choices. And we make the choices that we are going to be happy. And happiness or learning to enjoy and live life comes from within. And everything that you want to you seek outside of yourself, first find it within yourself. If you can't seem to find it within yourself, then as Rana was saying, quiet yourself, sit down, turn the TV off, turn all the noise down, and just be quiet and go within. God is within. You'll get the answers of what you need to heal yourself, deal with a situation, how to manage your mate, how to manage any situation, your children. You gotta quiet yourself. You know, we have the television on and other outside entertainment to just think we're on the right path, so we don't have to think outside of that. And then we're exhausted, we can't sleep, we're using food to self-soothe. So happiness comes from just being happy that the blessings is that we were born into this side of life. That's the blessings for one. And cultivate that. You are, and when they say you could be all what you could be all what you could be within the light of God and raise up to your higher self. You know, we have a lot of lower things that we think emotionally that we should be doing as Black women, and it takes a toll on us. It takes a toll on our health. We have to be happy with ourselves. Be happy with just being female. Period. And where you at in that level of being a female in your life. But happiness is just being just. I'm happy I'm Black. I'm happy I'm a female. I'm happy I'm part of this session. I am very pleased that I met you all. But happiness is from just being living, just breathing. Take a breath, take it down, tap within, don't lose your head. We Black women from watching your grandmothers, your mothers, they didn't handle a lot of stuff well because they didn't know to just shut it down. So take your lessons and resolve from what you have watched from them, how they handled their selves, and be a better woman, be a better mother, be a better wife, be better everything. But it starts within. But thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for sharing. Everybody, oh, it's my phone.
Are you on?
I like the way you started your question, who are you? Who are you? It was just such a basic question, but just to start with the premise of who are you to yourself. I thought that was a very powerful, different approach. And some of the questions that you asked after that or led up to that, just really, who are you to yourself? What do you think you are putting out there? I think that's one of my biggest takeaways from today. Also, I've done many, as we all have, the breath, but you started off with the colors, which was something that caused me to realize in that basket that I'm a creative, I am an artist, and that just really hooked me in. So that was a beautiful thing. And I'd like to connect to the person, Helen already knows this, but to the person who said she lost a dear friend, and losing a friend that has been a barrier for you against the world or coping on the journey is really, really a big deal. So I would just like to acknowledge her loss as well, because sometimes people skip over friendship loss, and it can be huge. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you for sharing, as always. Go ahead, Rana. She's raising her hand.
So I'm going to go, but I just wanted to thank you again for having me. And if you're interested in mindfulness sessions, I do individual coaching. You can go to my website. I put it in the chat. It's ranawalker.com. And just thank you for showing up for yourselves today. And Helen, thank you. I appreciate you.
So we're gonna let Rana go. Before we let her go, can we
Thank you.
unmute and do our usual farewell? Everybody, if you could unmute. And then we can stay on the line for a few minutes after she goes and talk about what's happening down the road. So thank you again, Rana, for coming, and hopefully you will come again soon. And hopefully we'll have you for another morning mindfulness. Just let me know when you're available. But today has been another Sunday, and when Black women gather,
Amazing things
Things
happen.
amazing things happen. And thank you for another amazing Sunday. And we'll do this again next Sunday. So I'm going to stop recording right now and we can stick around for a few more moments.
Love you,
Thank you.
Helen.
Thank you, Miss
Take
Darlene.
care,
We'll
Rana.
talk later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alrighty.